What up, y'all? Welcome back to another installment of Something Creative.
Eater.
This is a podcast where myself, Josh Gons, as well as the homie Lugo. I never know how to throw that lob to you for you to fill it in. So I just anyway. This is where we talk about our experience as creatives, our mental health as creatives, and all things creative related. This week we are turning to the chat being the Twitch chat that's watching this live. We're streaming Friday. I am not traveling, as you can tell, and this Wi-Fi is A1 because I paid the bill on time. Amen. God is great. And
Amen.
if you are watching this on YouTube, you're watching this the day after we stream it. If you want to watch it live, please pull up to twitch.tv/JoshyGons with 2 Z's because somebody else is out there with Joshygons with 1 Z. Amir, if you're watching, you might need to tap into your Twitch homies because I'm trying to get this channel with 1 Z if the person with 1 Z isn't streaming or doing anything. We're on the road to get this channel to partner. Week by week, we stream this podcast as well as I run a lot of Warzone. We listen to music as well as watch some music videos and discuss them. This week, we are turning to the Twitch chat to throw a topic in, and my mentor, Blame the Label, aka Mirabassi, suggested this topic, quote unquote. I would talk about how do you know when, for real, quote unquote, you are ready. What I mean is that knowing when you need to stop thinking you are just an intern or green. So a little explanation on green means just like you're new to the game, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or you're just feeling like I'm still learning. I'm gonna just stay in my comfort, my little comfort zone, my little pocket. And I think this is a really interesting topic because there was a minute, and I mean, I still go back and forth on some things, but I'm really working to get myself out of where I feel like I'm not really confident in this one little piece of technique or my one piece of understanding to like in the past it used to be like I'm not well versed enough in this, so I'm not gonna take this opportunity. And I know you're kind of the opposite in that sense, right? So how would you approach that?
I think.
And then we'll
All
confide.
right. Let me read the question one more time. I'll talk about how do you know when you are ready. What I mean by that is knowing when you need to stop thinking you are just an intern or green. So I think there's two. I think before anything, when you make a decision just as a person or any type of, for me, when I operate, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm about to do something, make a career move, whatever, anything I operate in, try to do with intentionality. So first gate off the bat is really the perspective, the headspace before anything. So
Oh, so what is your headspace like? How do you set that headspace?
so to go off the question, to know when you are ready, I think first you need the perspective of knowing where you're going or know where you're trying to head, even when you know you're not. For example, before I started shooting, I started 2017.
Bro, you only been shooting for 4 years. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick. All right, keep going. Keep going.
Amen. Amen.
2017.
2017, and I was dabbling in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my headspace, I would say in 2017, I was not ready the way I am now, ready to run my own thing, freelance full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But mentally, I was already in that headspace. I knew this is where I'm going. This is what's happening. You get what I'm saying?
So you had, just to clarify from my understanding, before I say I know what you're saying and not knowing exactly what you're saying, you were saying that I lost my train of thought with that joke, and I feel really bad. Um, Pretty much, you were saying that like the mental preparation or taking the leap.
Okay, so before the leap, before I'm gonna just bring this into a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2017, I went to college. 2018 fall, after I dropped out, is when I went full time. Now, I knew going in I was gonna drop out. I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna do this full time. It was a matter of when. And I think what made me ready for I was ready when I was ready to actually make that leap and just, I'm a full-time freelance, was that year in college.
Oh, you were talking about the destination of that's the train of thought that I left. You were talking about like you had the vision of a picture of the destination that you were trying to get to, right?
Yeah. So, because like people have goals, people see things, but there's that I know when I'm ready is when I have confidence in that. And that doesn't mean there's no fear in it.
Confidence in the vision or
Confidence
confidence
in
in the step to make towards the vision.
confidence in the vision. So like,
Ooh.
let's say I have mad like goals, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them I'm not very confident in yet. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think before anything else, when you set a goal, you set a or a vision that you have, you know what I'm saying? I think there needs to be a confidence in that vision. And that confidence is uh almost like a sign that I'm ready or I'm preparing to be ready rather than some other goals I have in the back of my mind. I'm not necessarily not confident about it, but it's not in the forefront of my mind where I'm just like, I need to do this, or there's just I don't know how to explain. I don't know if confidence is the right term, but there's like a peace with it. There's a peace with that vision where it's just like, this is finna happen and it's around the corner.
So it's almost like not necessarily expectation, but it's like I mean it's faith, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's you're literally you're walking by faith.
Yeah, because I literally feel something, I feel a goal, and it's right around the corner, and I know it is, and I know like, this is gonna happen whether I want it to or not. So
Interesting. So for you, when you envision that, you're like, there's no layup. This is what is gonna be.
it's almost like that. Okay, I'm trying to find a good example. It's like, okay, I grew up a fairly good kid. I was a good kid, you know what I'm saying?
All right. All right.
And it's not because I wanted to be, but it's just there's certain things in my mind where I'm just like, yeah, I can be reckless, but it's not a choice for me. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not even a choice for me to do this, or it's not even a choice for me to go study business. It's not a choice for me to go become a real estate agent. It's not a choice for me.
So it's
Like,
like
it's not.
you're talking about like not no option. Like
Yeah.
it's
In
not
my
on the
mind,
table.
that's literally not like I can't, like, everything in my being cannot do that, even if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I can't do that. If I wanted a lot of money right now instead of
Yeah.
this freelancing thing, I could go become a real estate agent. I have pretty good connects, but
Hilarious.
it's not even like I want to. You get
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's just like
Trust me, I do.
there's no yeah, it's literally not a choice. I don't know a better way to say that. Like, it's not a choice in my head. Like, if
Right. There's
someone
that. There's no fallback. There's no pillar to lean on, and like you don't have a plan B even on a vision board. It's just this is what it is. Like,
yeah. And for me, it's not even like, yeah, there's plan A, but I don't even
mm-hmm.
see it as a plan because I didn't sit down and come up with this plan. This is just life. This is how it's gonna happen. I don't have a choice in it. It's set in stone already.
Okay, so going back to 2017, a
Yep.
younger Lugo. This is what set 18. I'm not good at math. An 18 or
How
19
old?
year old,
I was 18.
18 or 19
18,
year old Lugo.
2017. Yep.
Not that age is a big factor here, But when you began shooting, because like did shooting become your thing because of your love for movies, or did you already have an interest in shooting? Because I'm trying to like go
Okay,
back
okay.
to the question in terms of like when did you start walking in that, okay, like I'm just gonna start going for it? Because I know you never really had that intern role or that position of like I'm studying under something, let me go start making
Got you.
my own
Okay.
waves, right? So like when did that first leap of like going to create with your brother, just like I'm just gonna go try it?
For me, the focus was so because I had this confidence and this assurance, like this is no choice, this is how it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have, yo, let me put my head down and work. That's already on the list. It's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
Between when I was 18 versus when I am now 22, the main things that switch is character. That was always my main focus before anything else.
Facts,
That's
and that's something
that's
you still talk about
exactly that's
in terms
that's
of importance.
exactly that's my sole focus. Like there's nothing else. Working hard, um, studying, researching, practicing. That's the bare minimum. That's like it's just
That's
there's
what you
no
have to do to survive
yeah.
in a class, or that's what you
Yeah.
got right.
That's the stuff in the category of in my mind where it's like I don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, I'm gonna be working hard. I'm gonna be putting my head down. I'm gonna be
Facts.
putting in the time. That's no choice of mine. It's already in my doing. That's never gonna change. But between 18 and 22 or 22 to 28, my sole um priority was character. How can I become better as a person? And I feel like that plays a big part on where I am now because that just bleeds into my work
Mm-hmm.
and bleeds into the people I meet, bleeds into how I operate, how I run things. So I would say that's why I said the perspective is such a big deal because I don't think people are ready when they start shooting for this person or they start shooting for that person. It's literally in your character, in your
We're gonna circle
perspective.
back to this too, but keep going.
Yeah, so
I
it's
want to make a
literally
mental note in case I forget.
yeah, so I would say it's definitely in your perspective, in the way you carry yourself. That's when you know you're ready, and that's when
So
you see changes.
give me quick, give me quick. So would you say what I'm trying to understand is like when you get your character right, or at least moving in the steps of trying to make your character right and your values lined up, would you say that like you feel like you're ready to go, ready to move forward, um, when you're working, not necessarily in your purpose, but once you feel like this is what I should be doing, I'm gonna take the step out and go create whatever that creating is.
Yeah, it's almost like it's funny because I never saw myself as an intern. I never had an intern position,
Mm-hmm.
but I was definitely at an intern level at
Mm-hmm.
one point, and I never saw myself as that. I knew the level I was at, and I knew where I was going. I don't know. I just put my head down, focused on my character, and everything just led. It was just a snowball effect from there.
Fire.
There's nothing. Yeah. So I think when I took that step, I guess into putting into a practical, more real terms in terms of 2018, when I took that step, um, it was just a matter of I just had to do it. There's no like it's rather now. It's not now or never, but it's just like why not?
When you say you had to do it, is that like I'm proving to myself I'm doing it, or is that like this is just the direction that I want to move towards?
This is just a direction I have to go towards.
Okay. There's literally no other option.
There's no other option. When I dropped out of school in
Mm-hmm.
2018, I took that summer, just shot, and then throughout
That's the
October
year
is
I
when
met
I
you.
went full time.
I met you
You met me before I
right before
dropped
you
out.
dropped out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I didn't like I knew I was gonna drop out
Mm-hmm.
before I went to college. I knew I was gonna drop out. I knew I don't know, I guess I just knew.
Mm-hmm.
But what made me take that step was I guess seeing it seeing it tangible or there in person at school was just not for me. I knew it wasn't for me, but I guess I just needed to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, once that semester was over, I just I don't know. There was just I really don't know. I just did it. There really just wasn't thinking around it. It's such a weird question because I have no idea like
It's
how.
no, it's interesting because my beginning story, or my story of stepping into like that purpose, or stepping into like that outside of intern mentality, or even as an intern, is so different from that,
Mm,
because I finished school,
mhm.
so I knew I had that in the pocket, right? For me, I'm like, okay, worst case, if this don't work, I can at least pay my bills doing hopefully something in this field. If not, my old retail job will definitely take me back. Like, I always had that in
Got
the
you.
pocket. So it wasn't necessarily like a safety net, because there was a moment, end of 2018, where I almost had to figure it out. And if Amir's still in here, he would remember this.
Got you.
There was a point
I
where I'm like, bro, I
I
need work.
yeah, I d-
Be-
I definitely feel that. I had these I wouldn't call them fallbacks for me because they
mm,
weren't fallbacks for me. They're just like, okay, I need to do this to temporarily put me in a better position.
for sure. I know, and,
But
and
yeah.
I feel that, but like when I was like an intern, for example, sometimes I use that as my scapegoat, or my little safety comfort pocket of like, oh, I'm still learning. This is kind of what I'm doing. I remember, and Amir and I were actually talking about this today on the phone. Um, I'd sometimes forget that my first like photo pass experience was this small show. Not, I mean, it wasn't that small. It was at the Novo, if you guys know LA. It's in LA Live, which is right next to Staples Center where the Lakers play. Um, it was at this spot. Shouts to Ev Boogie. Um, but it was at this spot where ASAP Rocky had a show. I think it was Steve. I want to say it was Steve's Fest. Anyway, that was the first time I really was able to take a camera in and like take some photos, and they were trash. I actually got to find this folder now that I think about it, because I want to share. I want to share these photos
Yeah.
because like they were so huff. I was like figuring out shutter speed
Yeah.
for that type of environment, right? For like stuff moving in low light, and I had the 35 millimeter that's here, actually, just my little prime 2.8, the same joint that I shot that first music video on,
Yep.
in my A7 II. Anyway, um, if I would have got asked by that team, hypothetically, yo, come shoot this show, for me, that opportunity professionally, I would have been like, I don't know if I'm ready to, because I'm still learning settings, I'm still learning this, and this, right? So it was nice to have that access, because I was moving with Blame the Label, and he's super tight. Like, him and Ev go way back. Anyway, um, but going back to the topic, my experience with that intern or green mentality, like having that access, if it was a paid gig, I don't know if I would have took it, right? Because like in my head
Mhm.
of my, I'm not ready for it yet. I'm gonna just, I'll watch from afar, or if I get finesse it, I'll finesse it just to be in. But like, I don't even know if I'm gonna share these photos, because I got a couple decent ones in my opinion. At the time, I was like, oh, I got a photo on stage, fire. I remember I almost got kicked out by Danny Brown's security dude, because I didn't really understand. I mean, that's the thing, is like I was still learning all this like etiquette and
Yeah.
this and this. But so the step into an opportunity, I would sometimes teeter that line of like, I don't know if I'm ready for it. So even if an opportunity comes up, I don't know if I'm gonna take it, right?
Is
Even
it
like,
because you set up in a when you were offered an opportunity like that during that time, did you set up an expectation in your mind of how you were gonna perform?
1,000%.
Got you.
and knowing my, oh, I messed up taking these photos. I don't want to mess up and my name be on the line, because that might be the only opportunity that I'll get like that, or I might not get the call back for the next time. And that's one thing that I feel like, because you also mentioned like who you're shooting for, right? How did you word that?
Wait, what's up?
You also mentioned
Oh, that like shooting for someone dope or shooting for someone that it might be exhilarating, but
mhm.
it was never like, oh, this is a confirmation of like, oh, I'm finally where wanna be.
Yeah. So I had shot some shows 2016, 2017 is where I really feel like I started leaning into like, yo, I want to do more live work or tour work or fill in the
Yeah,
blank. Um there were a few shows that I had done that I had gotten access to because like I tried to, I mean, a lot of it was I was working, and then I was like, oh, let me just hop in the photo pit because I want to take some photos. I knew that's what I kind of wanted. I enjoy doing a little bit more. Um, For Your Eyes Only tour, 2017.
fire.
Um, I got to do 2 weeks on it. Shouts to Night Train.
Wavy.
Um, Fire. I had never been to these cities, so like I took.
And at this point, what level do you think you were at?
I was comfortable in a photo pit because
Gotcha.
I'd already done some shows for Boss. I had already done um I wasn't getting photo credentials to every show I wanted to, but like I would try and finesse my camera in somehow. And I didn't really have the lenses that I needed to get like the portraits that I had envisioned, right?
Yeah.
That live portraiture that we were talking about, like Greg style or Ravy style. Um so this was the first time that I really got to move around with a tour crew and kind of learned how that happened. But even then, like there were certain times where I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm in over my head, because that
Mm,
you're in, like, I mean, I couldn't even shoot during Cole set, but the last show I was like, if I get in trouble, I'm gonna get in trouble. And also part of it was like I could have asked certain security guys, yo, am I good here for a little bit? But like I was like, I was too much of like, I don't wanna overstep. I don't wanna ask for stuff, right?
in terms of that perspective, where it's like I'm in over my head, was that like a discouraging thing, or was that like
No,
I need to catch up?
I think no, mentally it was a discouraging thing, because
Gotcha.
when I'm in the I need to catch up mode, I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to beat out anybody in whatever spot. Like
Yeah.
that's how hungry I get.
Yeah.
But
Because
also,
that's how I felt when I did my first tour, and I was just like, you're just in a new environment. You don't know how things operate. You're just like, yo, this is a lot of information, a lot of social cues, a lot of things that you're just
mhm,
absorbing and being like, okay, this is how I need to operate. And it's just like that voice in my head is like, yo, I'm in over my head.
mhm,
I need to catch up ASAP.
for
And it's
sure,
just click, and it's just like, all right, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
no doubt. So, but for me, I was like teetering the line, right? Because I knew Cole's photographer, still do. It's at the time at least, like, and it
Mhm.
wasn't yo, I'm trying to compete for this spot, because like as a creative, I'm like, yo, that's your role on this tour. I don't want to get in the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like that. That's not the mentality that I was going into with that one. That's why I didn't even really try to shoot Cole set like that. But I got to shoot. That's what was dope. Like Ari was still opening at the time. Boss had a spot. I think Jin and Earth Gang had a spot too. But Luke might have had a quick set, but he broke that tour up into tiers where he did smaller venues, and like Lou was one of the openers. But anyway, however, photographing in that arena setting, that's when I was like, it was clear for me. I was like, this is the scale that I want to work at with this type of setting because like of what I felt doing it. That's what I was like, this is what I want to be doing. This was that purpose that you were talking about. So for me, I'm like, how can I become the best photographer in this space and in this setting
Mm,
to get to here, to get to where I'm going to get the call for this.
okay. I think at the time where my skill was really low
Mm-hmm.
in terms of knowledge, experience, and things like that. I think at the time I was willing to take the leaps because I had enough confidence in myself as a person. Meaning, because for all you guys that want to shoot and things like that, skill in shooting is only 25% of it.
Mm-hmm.
75% is how you operate as a person. Are you good to work with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That I was always confident in that side of myself.
And the skill side?
No, the other
Oh,
side.
okay. I was going to, okay. That's
So
fair.
at the time when my skills were really low, this side of character outweighed the skills. So the moves that I was making, like even you just letting me shoot for Kev that one show or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of my first shows, and
Wait,
it,
for real?
it
I'm just
yeah.
kidding. I'm kidding.
So it was definitely a step for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew at the end of the day, I'm gonna be me. I'm a pretty chill person. You know, we're all gonna be. I mean, we're doing a podcast now, 4 years later,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Dang,
just
it's
like
been 4 years.
that always outweighed the skill, and eventually the skill caught up,
Mm-hmm.
and then that. But since I saw doors opening so early on
Yeah.
because of just the way I carried myself,
Mm-hmm.
I've always kept that on the forefront, and I never focused on the skill because I knew the skills would just eventually catch up to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I just had the confidence in that, how I carried myself as a creative in these areas where I was unfamiliar,
Yeah.
that it outweighed all the skills.
Yeah. And I feel that. I also feel that like how I carried myself was fairly consistent. You know, it was consistently good to be around work wise. Don't do too much. You know, my phone don't be out in the rooms that it don't need to be out in. Like,
Yeah.
um, however, when I was on the spot then, and I think I'm working through this. If not, I've worked through this. When I'm on the spot then, um, that's when I would get in my head of like, oh, maybe I'm not my skill's not there yet to step up when it needed to. So I was like, and that's when like I'd be not hit or miss by it, but like I would let an opportunity pass because I'm like, maybe I'm
I
not.
I definitely felt that in my head where I'm like, yo, how am I here? Because I'm not skilled. Like I'm not skilled enough to be in this room.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I was blessed enough to be in this room where I was able to, I don't know, be a good friend to someone. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what got you in the room. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah,
And that's
and that alone has got
and
me in more rooms than.
exactly. And so sometimes it could be really discouraging because it's like, oh man, like my skill didn't get me into this room. But then I look back and I'm like, all the times I've been inside this room wasn't because of my skill. So it's just like at some point
I
the
mean, go ahead,
I
finish.
mean, sometimes it definitely is a skill that will get you that first click.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, for me, it was not my skill necessarily.
Yeah, I think the skill opens the door or gets you in the room, but your personality or character is what would keep you around long term. Because you could be
Yeah,
there for a
100%.
gig and they'll be like, you know what, I might just thug it out. This isn't working, but
Yeah.
kid's nice, so I'm gonna let him rock, and then it just don't chemistry don't make sense or something like that. Um, but no, I don't know. It's just I always felt like there was definitely like a crossroad at one point where I was like, I just need to be confident in what I've learned and what I'm still learning, and understand that everybody is still learning. But I definitely think that there's that connecting point between, yes, I'm an intern, but at some point you're like, I'm not going to be an intern forever.
Yeah.
Even though there was a period of time where like I really didn't like what I was doing work wise, and I'm like, bro, I miss the simpler times where I was an intern and I could just be in the room, just soaking everything in, just learning, watching how people move, how people build relationships, how people like respect each other, show love, like create genuine
Yep.
like bonds and stuff. And I think there's just a point where you're just like, okay, now I got to step out and do this for me. And a lot of times I don't think there's ever like, I don't think you ever know when that moment is. You just got to be like, oh, I got to get after it. I got to start doing those things for me, which is interesting, right? Because I feel like that was just out the gate for you. Like that
It
was,
it it's weird to explain because it's not like, oh, I knew, like, it's just
and I don't
I
think
just
anybody does know that moment either, though,
yeah.
of
You
what you're.
don't there I very early on I accepted that there is no moment. It's just do
I think part of this topic is realizing
that there
that
is no
point,
moment.
that moment,
Yeah.
you know? No doubt. Like I definitely agree with that. And because like I was even trying to think back in terms of like, oh, when was that crossroad of like, oh, this is the moment when this is my in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
Yeah, yeah.
jumping out of the window moment. You know, it's like there's a point where you're just like, I'm just running with it, and I'm gonna start being more confident in it. If that confidence isn't there, you got to build it up sometimes. That's why I
Yeah.
like words of affirmation or seeing things that you're like trying to work on printed out. I bought a printer. Side note, cooked me. Because I want to
Word.
start printing stuff out and just putting it on boards that I can see and look at every single day. Of like, just to stay focused on goals that I want to hit. Because I can write mad stuff in my notes, right?
100%.
How often am I going to go in my notes? How often am I going to physically go in that note and see it, right? Unless it's my wallpaper, which is another good idea, or unless it's on poster boards scattered throughout this room.
Even just the process of you grabbing a board and writing it down, like,
Mm-hmm.
does a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's important to see those things, and like, especially, and I think that's where, I mean, not to make this a social media conversation, that's what is tough about social media too, right? Is you can have these goals, but if you're not mentally tough to be focused on those, you could be
Yeah.
scrolling and be like, oh, this is dope. Like, I wonder how they did this, or like, I wonder how they finessed this play. Um, Let me try and get after something like that. You know, and
Yeah.
it's
It's just a distraction at that point.
facts.
Even though
It's
you might gain some things, but you're gaining things that aren't even necessarily lined up with what you're supposed to be doing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel that.
Or you get caught up in gear and start adding
Yeah.
to that, and
Because, once you know, like, going back to the question, once you know when to take that first step, then the problem from there is knowing which steps to take and
mm-hmm.
which steps to shut the door on. Like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
this ain't for me. It might sound really good on paper. It might check all the boxes. It might be a good bag. It might be a good opportunity. It might be some good people, but this ain't for you. And you could, we and sometimes you need to do that to figure
Yeah,
out, like, yo, because I know I definitely did that.
yeah.
And now I'm back here and I'm like,
But I think that's natural too, though, right?
yeah,
It's natural to deter. Otherwise, everybody would have all their stuff down
yep,
to the T. If everybody just beelined, right? Success and just growth in general is non-linear. Like, life happens, right? You have
yep.
a loss in your family, you're grieving. I'm not thinking about
Ain't nothing
this.
matter.
You
Ain't
know,
nothing
like,
matter. Yeah,
I'm not thinking about like, oh, what am I gonna shoot next week, and who is it gonna be with, and how am I gonna push it creatively and all that stuff. Like, you take a step back, you should.
yeah,
Um, but also like, you start feeling yourself, you get caught up in some of the sauce, like of some of the work you've been putting out and this, and that deters a little bit, like, and then you recenter, you regain focus. Sorry, I got like this much room to use arm space in right now. But yeah, and that's where I think like I'm visual, so like I need to literally see and be focused and reminded like that, and it's just important to not. I mean, you get distracted. We all get distracted. We all have games on our phone. We all have like this, and this, but it's balance. A lot of this is balance. But yeah, man, it's important. Write stuff down, put it up, stay focused.
Buy a whiteboard and every day write a goal down to set for the day and strive for it. Yeah, essentially buying that whiteboard and writing that down is the first step to that goal.
Shouts to Crystal 1987. Oh man. Yeah, but like you said, I don't think there's ever that time where you're like, this is the time to take a leap. So I mean, there might be a gig or two where you're like, I don't know if I could do it, but we've talked about this in the past too, like earlier on, where like, yo, allow yourself to be in that position where you're like, I might be in too deep, but I'm still gonna go crazy and see what happens.
Just prepare the most you can, and then that's all you could do. That's all you could do. Just do your best, and usually you'll surprise yourself. You're like, oh shoot, I actually can do this.
Facts.
And man, I was just about to say something.
Oh, I love it. I've been there, man. You know me. I'm very well at that. Crystal 1987 also said, I've learned to take things day by day and set goals for myself daily instead of stressing over. And I agree with that. Stressing over the bigger picture. I agree with that. I think it's important, and this is something that I need to work on myself, even though I know what these things are that I should be working on. I think it's important that like you write down those daily goals of things you just want to knock out that day, whether it's like, yo, I want to write a little bit. I want to, man, Girl God Game, I think you're right. I think this is circling back to imposter syndrome, which is a recurring topic here. Which is fine because this is a recurring thing that I'm personally dealing with too. But write down those goals that you can reach sooner than later. Yeah. Maybe even that day. It could be simple things, Yeah. It could be like, oh, I want to write an idea down that I want to get started on or whatever, and then also do like a year goal or like a 5-year goal, like just reach for it, just see what happens.
Essentially those small little things is what leads up to that big thing.
It's a snowball.
You can't get to that big thing without doing those small little stupid things, and those things honestly change you as a person.
Yeah,
because that's daily. That daily stuff is what really, yeah, man. I always say the same thing: slow, gradual growth. There's no better way to do it. So what we were talking about, I feel that.
But yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Is like, I don't know if there's ever a point where I'm like, I mean, there was more consistently in the past where like I feel like I'm not ready, quote unquote. I'm not. Not even the fact that like I'm not supposed to be here, because I'm pretty conditioned now to be like, yo, if I'm in the room, I'm in the room. Like I'm literally supposed to be here. But I
don't know if I'm not ready ever pops in my head like that.
Which is fine, but that could even, it could even be seen as like, okay, here's a perspective, right?
Cool.
That idea that you've had for years that you've been wanting to shoot.
Yep. Okay.
It's almost to the point where like I'm just gonna do it, or I'm gonna wait until more things align and see when that comes.
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky thing. I think for me, it's very hard when it's specific. Like let's say projects, right? Because like, oh, I got a project in mind. I'm gonna do this because I'm not necessarily. I don't think I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think. Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. I really don't know because some things is just like, not saying I'm not working at it, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
one of those things where it's just like, in terms of the final product, it's like a battle between I want it to happen organically versus something I just push or just, work towards. So I think I'm in the perspective now where I'm gonna work at it and just leave the final product out of my head and just work at it and just let that be that. And then just let it snowball from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what's been deterring me and procrastinating myself from doing it is I'm thinking about the final product.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what's I get caught up on a lot too, right? Is like I want the final product to be a specific
Yeah,
particular way, and I feel like I don't have the means to get that final product with what is in front of me.
yeah. But it's not even in the terms of like you don't have the means because you know what it takes. It's literally the fact that we know what it takes to get this product done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kills it. Because honestly, if you're ignorant to knowing what it takes, you would just jump in
Yeah.
and think you'll be able to do it. But I think since we're a little more seasoned in this creative space, we're able to look at something and be like, okay, that's gonna take X amount of money, X amount of resources, X amount of help, X amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's deters from, man, we know what this takes. We gotta prep, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
which is procrastinating. Because honestly, I would prefer back when I wasn't well versed in this creative space and I was just ignorant to everything. Be like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's just do it. Let's just dive in.
Right.
But now
You
I'm
like no matter what, you would still have the like a variation of the final product.
yeah.
And I
And
think
then
that's tricky too as creatives, right? As we get better and we see ourselves getting better, it's almost like that bar just still stays growing
yeah,
with us in the sense of like, okay, I know what this is going to take, but now it's like if it's not going to come out this way, I might just not do it. You feel me?
facts.
And at
Because
that
like it's like that bar is like in the beginning, it's so high up, you're just hungry. You're like, all right, let's start training. Let's start, yeah,
mm-hmm,
let's go on. And then once it becomes in arm's reach, you're just like, uh, I guess I'll just work a little bit harder,
mm-hmm.
and then it's just always in arm's reach.
Yeah. And I think like that arm's reach is that comfort zone.
Yeah.
It can be the comfort zone. Not
It
saying it
clicked.
is.
It clicked what I was gonna say
Go
earlier.
ahead. Go ahead. Go crazy.
I would say a practical way of knowing that if you're ready to take a step is if you're questioning if you should take a step or not. I think that's a clear,
Ooh, I
that
like
is a
that.
very clear like sign that you should be taking that step. If you're at a point as an intern or in a career space and you're questioning like, man, am I ready to take this job? Man, am I ready to do this? I think that's a clear indication that you should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously to a degree, but I know for me, every time I've questioned myself, it's of like, oh man, now I gotta do it. Cause I know like there's a reason I'm questioning that.
Yeah,
Because if you're not ready for something, it wouldn't even be popping in your mind about this
that's facts.
idea or thing because your mind's not even there to even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that your mind's even thinking about that, it shows that you're at least ready to take the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then no, that's good, man. And I think there's a balance with that as well too, though, right? Is I do think patience still plays a role in that because even though you are like, I'm ready to take the step, I'm ready to take the step, like everything does take time
Yeah.
to get there. You know, like I feel like as much as I wanted to be, I don't know if I've shared this, but I had the opportunity to stay on that tour for the rest of the dates. Like, I was given that opportunity. The homie was like, yo, tell your boss you have something else.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to go back to work, right? And at the time, I'm like, fire. However, my safety net was like, damn, this tour is only another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is that worth my check that's paying my rent, that's doing all this and this? And I know I wasn't even making crazy bread at all def, but like, it was that consistent check, right? And I said, I can't do it. And that's
Really?
like, even looking back, right? It's like, yo, I'm wilding for not, because like,
because I know I've been struck with that kind of similar thing, and I was just like, I took the step. I was just like, half it. I'll figure it out when rent comes. It is what it is.
Right. And but I think for me, part of that was like that safety net in the back pocket.
Yeah, but it's definitely different when you were already working all day for a grip, and you're ready.
And those were my people, and it wasn't
exactly
that. Well, not all of them, but the ones that I still was working directly under.
Yeah.
After all we've been through, I wasn't giving them the "I'm not coming back" treatment, even though that's the direction that it was going, and part of the ammo that somebody that was working there at the time that I don't really rock with, that was part of the ammo that was used against me, of like, oh, you went on tour for 2 weeks. And I was like, dog, it's PTO. Don't, like, what I do got nothing to do with you on my vacation.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the exception of that situation, the people that I had came up with, the people that really put me on, like, I wasn't going to do that to them, even though that was the opportunity to make that step out. But I even think part of that decision too was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that step for what's going to be after that, because there was more shows at the end of that year that I might have been around for. But looking back, that decision was still a good decision to make.
Yeah, 100%.
Because like, that wasn't an ultimatum that they gave me, like, yo, be here or you can never be around again. Like, that wasn't the case. But that's also the personality being around thing that we were talking about, right? I was okay at like I'm day and night now with like my skill set to where I was then. And where I'm still continuing to try and grow. But I don't know, like, I was still in that little bubble of like, yo, I don't know if I could do the freelance thing directly from the 2 weeks left of this, and just to kind of see what happens, you know. Lo and behold, 3 months later, I got let go.
Yeah.
So like, I ended up going into that, which is funny, right? In retrospect, it's like, well, I mean, God was like, dog, you're gonna be out of this situation.
You got to do. You're
gonna be out of this situation.
What will happen?
Right. But it's just funny that like, that opportunity to be out of that situation was there, and then God was also like, okay, but you're just out regardless of if you take this leap now.
Yeah.
You're gonna be leaping later. So,
Girl Got Game said, agree, it does take time, but also think of the time comes sooner than you think. Don't sleep on the moment. Take the leap in the opportunity. 100%.
1000.
Here's something I've been learning recently about patience. And it's funny because there was times in my life like, I'm patient. Yeah, I'm definitely patient. You know what I'm saying? But I really wasn't. And I was really just tolerating the moment. Yeah. Time is going to keep going, rather you're happy, sad, whatever, right? And I think a clear indication of patience and faith go hand in hand. If you feel like you're patient, but you're frustrated about where you're going, or you're frustrated about things are going to be, it kind of doesn't really go like that.
Yeah.
Because there was moments where I was like, yeah, I'm patient, I'm doing that. It's like, now what's gonna happen is still gonna happen at that time. I was just tolerating the moment
Mm.
and tolerating whatever situation. And I think patience really is a piece, and that goes with the faith of what you're doing and faith that, yo, this is gonna work out and this is how it's gonna work out. And I just have to have peace in the fact that it will happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've been learning recently, which is that's true patience, where it's just like, all right, let's calm down. Because patience is not just tolerating, like, okay, I'm gonna just be patient and just
Yeah,
hold
it's
off.
not just sitting in the back seat.
Yeah. It's just saying, all right, I'm gonna just there's just a peace with it. We're just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just chill. And this stuff is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you just put your head down, you work. But yeah, definitely don't sleep on the moment. You know what I'm saying? Don't tolerate the moment. Um, take the leap and the opportunity. I definitely agree. Um, and once you keep taking more leaps and opportunities, there's gonna be some like I talked about
Mm-hmm.
on one of the first podcasts. You get one of those what I call it. You get one of those,
I'm trying to remember the verbiage you used.
or you get one of those booty calls.
Oh my god, that was it. That's why I try to block it out of my mind.
You get one of those booty calls in the creative space, and you're just like, yo, sounds good in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
sounds sounds great at 3 a.m. But let me tell you, when you wake up at 10 a.m., you're like, bro, I was tripping.
Oh man.
I was tripping. So like, yeah, it's definitely just it really just comes down to knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm. But that also goes back to being like, adding to the knowing yourself, like working on yourself, right? You usually have a clearer mindset of going into opportunities or hearing opportunities that are potential. And saying no.
Say no, man. Say no. Bro, I had to learn that so hard.
Yeah, I'm
Like
still learning that.
when you're just so hungry and you're just like, oh man, I want to get it. I want to get it. Now I'm at a point where it's just like, nah. And it's just like, no, because it's like when you know what you're supposed to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, nah, man. You just see you see the long game. You know what I'm saying? Example A, there was something, there's like some random shoot. Like, mind you, I don't even do photo shoots like that, whatever. It was like some super last minute thing. Yo, if you're free right now, come shoot the thing. And it was like, it was a pretty quick, easy bag. I would have been able to turn around quick, but it was on a Friday night, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was like, nah, I record my podcast.
Okay, let them know,
You
Lugo.
know what I'm saying? But it's like,
Wow.
it was one of those things where it's like, yo, I could get a quick, easy bag. I mean, it's just a podcast, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, for me, it was just like, bro, this podcast is more important than this little side little gig that
Come
I could
on,
get for
man.
like a couple bucks. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, bro, we in my mind, I was like, we got a good momentum. Let's keep it rolling. Is what it is. So it's the long goal. You know what I'm saying? This is way more valuable than getting a couple $100 quick and easy turnaround
Mm-hmm.
time. I was like, nah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Bro, we gotta brand this.
No facts, man.
We gotta brand this and get some merch out. I don't know who wants it, but I want a hoodie.
Yeah. Honestly, we could just make two just for ourselves.
Make two.
Not a booty
Actually,
call.
let me
And the
not get the
worst sex
chat
thing.
started on
No.
merch because here
Especially
Abby
when
goes. That's on me. I started that wildfire.
hands up if you're a people pleaser. I don't
I
think
used
being
to
a people.
be. I used to be.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think being a people pleaser is a bad thing. I think it doesn't get enough credit.
People
There's,
pleasing?
I think it's a problem when you don't know the consequences.
Oh,
I pick and
facts.
choose. I pick and choose when I want to people please,
Of course.
and
And who
I
to
know the
people please?
consequences exactly. And when the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
consequences come, it's the pain and stuff that you got to deal with. And I was well aware of it.
1000%. I thought you were saying people pleasing in general because there's definitely a line between. Oh, a stretch. They threw some biddies. Um, there's a line of people pleasing, like you said, who to do it for.
Yeah.
Who can respect the boundary if that people pleasing isn't reciprocated that time.
Yeah.
Because you
yeah,
could
at that end,
overextend yourself, and not even for the sake of reciprocation, but you could overextend and know it's not appreciated, and you're like, why am I dumping this energy into it?
exactly. And if I think the root of it is being aware of what you're doing, and if you're okay with it, there's been situations where I was just like, you know what? I know I'm overextending. I know I'm giving more than I'm taking.
Yeah.
I know things are not being reciprocated. These are the consequences if I keep continuing this thing. And then I'm just like, I know the consequences. It's worth it. And you just,
Yeah, I used to people please with the hope of, I don't know how to word this, with like the hope of an outcome that was more of like an ideation than like a practical one.
yeah,
Like I would overextend myself in those settings for that. But now I'm kind of like, at least I'm refining the balance, because I've
yeah.
definitely upset some friends about it. But I mean, it is what it is.
Man,
Of like
I'm,
protecting my own energy in space.
bro, I'm gonna get biblical on y'all, man.
Drop
Protect
it,
your
bro.
heart, man. Protect your heart, man. Y'all gotta protect your heart. And I had to learn this the hard way because it's like you operate so much. I've always been a person that, people hit up. I've always given more than I've taken. Almost to the point where I almost feel like taking advantage of a lot. And it comes to a point where it's just like, yo, whose heart are you trying to protect? Are you trying to protect yours or are you trying to protect theirs?
Ooh, let them know,
Yeah,
Lugo.
facts. So sometimes I'm at a point now where it's like,
Oh
my heart comes
man,
first. My heart comes first, man. That's how it
I
works.
needed
And
that
then
verbiage to break down
bro,
what
I
I've been
spent
feeling, because that's
a
what.
long time trying to protect others people's heart
Oh,
from
that's good.
whatever, man. It's just like I was not protecting my own heart.
No, bro, you all over the triggers for emotions. I already see Girl Got Game talking about it, but that's true though. I mean, I was built that way, but I also feel like that was something that was like installed into my subconscious
100%. I
um
agree.
at a young age. We both went to private schools growing up.
Yeah.
Like that's like what you that's something that's taught, and I mean there's a fine line um of protecting somebody's heart, but like you said, at what cost? Like it should never be at the cost of your own, or your own peace, or your own
Never. Never.
and
Because
that
at the
was
end
that
of the
was that
day,
overextending that I was talking about.
yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're protecting someone's heart without protecting your own heart, you're just breaking two hearts now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're getting a version of you broken, which is not even good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the least thing you could do to yourself is protect your own heart. Just look at yourself first and be like, all right, cool. Then you could try to overextend, and then your boundaries from there. And it's easier said than done. But man, I had to learn too many times that I gotta protect my own heart first.
Man. Well, I think that's a good one to end on. I don't know what else is gonna be coming after that before everybody starts getting emotional. Thank y'all for pulling up. Shouts to the Twitch chat who's watching this live. We're shooting this on Friday night. That day kind of fluctuates pending schedule. I think next week we're gonna have to get it on Thursday. Like I said, because I'm leaving Friday. Salt Lake City. Can't wait.
I mean, next week we're gonna have what, Amir?
Yeah. Also, we're in Boston in June.
Oh, word?
Yeah, we added some. So pull up. You can crash if you want. It's up to you.
Say less.
But yeah. So anyway, long story short, next week we got to get Thursday in. Once again, shouts to the Twitch chat who's watching this live on the stream. They help pick the topic for today's potty. Also shouts to the stage crew if you're watching this on YouTube. Equal love, equal love. If you want to watch the Twitch chat this upcoming week, pull up to twitch.tv/JoshyGons. Drop it with a follow before I start fumbling everywhere. And then you'll get notified when we go live. All love. Thank y'all for pulling up. Lugo, let them know where to find you.
Where's Lugo everywhere? Yeah, this is a solid podcast. More to come. Yeah, man.
Perfect. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.